there is the Constitution, which is the Bible of the nation. Yung pinakasagrado. In that document, sacred document, there is what we call a due process of the law. Magtanong kayo, ayaw magsagot yung tao, tapos sabihin ng tao, kung makulong siya o takot siya kaya baka magkamali siya ng sagot, because he is not a lawyer, he is not trained to analyze immediately the questions propounded to them. Tapos mumurahin ninyo, wala naman, they are not respondents. As a matter of fact, they are termed as a resource person. Tapos tatakutin nyo ng preso. How sure are you na yung sagot niya tama ang inyong question ang mali? Tapos kukulungin mo. That's a violation of the constitutional right of a person. Yung contempt is a very malaking question mark yan. Kaya sinabi ko dyan sa mga cabinet member, lalo na yung mga military noon nakita, hindi ito sa panahon na ito. Totoo. Yung sigaw-sigawan, pahirapan. Sabi ko, you are a soldier. Defend your honor and dignity. If you are shouted at, you shout back and say, I am here to tell the truth. Hindi ako pumunta dito para babuyin ninyo. Magrespetuhan. It's about time that you guys know how to respect people.
The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Jess De Los Santos. Okta Research says Metro Manila's weekly growth rate has decreased to negative 20%, with the reproduction number dropping to 0.99. Now, what does this mean exactly for the region? Here to give us his thoughts on the topic is Okta Research Fellow Guido David. Good afternoon, Professor David.
Hi, good afternoon, Jess.
Okay, so Prof, what do these improved numbers mean for Metro Manila's COVID-19 situation? Can we finally say that we're already out of the woods?
Well, I can't say we're out of the woods, but I can say that the situation is starting to improve in Metro Manila in terms of the trend. Last week, the 7-day average in new cases was 5,839. And this week, the 7-day average is 4,674. So that is 20% lower compared to last week. And this is what we're talking about when we say negative 1-week growth rate. Now, the reproduction numbers also decreased down to 0.99 in Metro Manila. That means the rate of infection has gone down, or the net rate of infection has gone down. And this is what we want to see, because moving forward, we hope that this trend will continue and that cases will continue to go downward. But we're not out of the woods yet. I want to make it clear that cases are still at the high level. We're still getting more than 4,000 cases per day in the NCR. Hospitals will still be full for some time, and ICUs. So we should still continue to follow protocols, work together in order to bring the cases down.
Okay, but then again, you have the health department saying that it's just a matter of the peak being delayed. They're saying we have yet to see cases peak perhaps by the end of the month or early in October. Would you say then that we're already past that peak, or like what the health department is saying, we have yet to see cases peak?
Well, based on the figures I'm looking at, it seems like the peak happened around last week. September 11, when we had 26,000 cases and about 8,000 cases in the NCR. Right now, my personal assessment is we won't be seeing numbers higher than that. That can change, of course, but that's just my personal assessment. It doesn't mean we're out of the woods again. It means that the situation is starting to improve. But we have to sustain these trends by continuing to do the things that we're doing that help to reduce the number of cases.
Now, Prof, would you say that the downtrend in cases here in Metro Manila, that at least a factor for that happening is a new alert level system here in NCR? This, of course, is something that the MMDA is attributing to when it comes to that downtrend in cases.
Well, let's be fair. The downtrend or the the downtrend happened after the peak, and it started to happen when we were still under MECQ. But it's been about a week since the implementation of this alert level system, and we haven't seen a spike in cases yet. Now, today we might see 20 or 21,000 cases, but that's mostly due to backlog. Generally, the 7-day average is decreasing. So people should not be concerned if we're going to see 20 or 21,000 cases today or tomorrow because of some backlog being cleared. But what we're seeing is that the trend is still going downward, and hopefully it will continue. And yes, we haven't seen a spike due to the new alert level system. So right now, what we're saying is what we're seeing is that it's effective so far.
Okay, Prof, let's zoom out a bit. How are the other regions faring when it comes to their COVID numbers?
Around Metro Manila, Jess, things look good, actually. The reproduction numbers even lower in some of these areas, like, for example, Cavite has a 0.87 reproduction number, Laguna has a 0.9 reproduction number, Bulacan has 0.86, Davao City has 0.99. So these other areas are also starting to see seeing a downward trend, but there are still some regions wherein cases are still rising, and that's mostly in Region 1, in parts of Region 1 and Region 2. So definitely we're not out of the woods yet. The country's still battling the Delta variant, but at the least what we can say is that the situation is starting to improve in some of these areas, including the NCR.
Okay, I have to ask you this, Professor David. Of course, the latest decision of the president forgoes the use of face shields outdoors. Do you see this at least affecting our figures in the coming days?
I don't see it having a big effect, just because from what I heard, that face shields will not be required outdoors, provided it's not part of the 3C. So if we go to a Palenque, I think the face shield would probably still be required because that's a close contact area. But in outdoor areas, if it's not required, I don't see it being a big factor.
Okay, and lastly, with these developments, do you think the country at least will have a better Christmas compared to what we had last year?
Yes, Jess, I sincerely believe that. We've been watching other countries that managed or that battled the Delta variant. And what we're seeing right now, there hasn't been a resurgence in these countries, in India and Indonesia and other countries. So this gives us hope that once we're over this surge with the Delta variant, especially in Metro Manila and Calabarzon, that it will continue on towards Christmas, and we'll have a Merry Christmas. So that was what we were talking about, the end game for the Delta variant. It's not yet happening now, the end game, but it's, we're starting to see the possible end game. It could probably happen around October or November, when we're finally clear of the Delta variant.
All right, like you, of course, we're all hoping for a better Christmas this year. Thank you very much for your time, Octa Research Fellow Guido David.
Thank you, Jeff.
Now, the League of Provinces of the Philippines reveals that because of vaccine supply issues, tripartite agreements between local governments and manufacturers have been deferred by the NTF. On Radyo 5's Failon, LPP National President Presbitero Velasco explains that suppliers prefer direct coordination with the national government in terms of vaccine procurement. Some provinces have already made advance payments under tripartite agreements, but Velasco says suppliers may only complete these shipments by next year. Though provincial officials say they understand the situation, Velasco appeals to the NTF to allocate more supply of shots to provinces, especially with the emergence of COVID-19 variants. He says LGUs have already asked Vaccine Czar Carlito Galvez to bring in more vaccines from the COVAX facility to provinces in need.
Sa ngayon po talaga ay mahirap din po na kumuha ng supply. Talaga kaya po ang dahilan ay kaya po dinifer muna yung tripartite agreement. At monitored naman po yan. Pag dumami po ang po diyan ay magbibigay naman po sila. Madali naman po yung tripartite agreement. Ang issue po talaga yung supply.
Do face masks really work at stopping the spread of COVID-19? And which ones work the best? Guidance from health experts and governments have been anything but consistent. Bloomberg Opinion has some tips at least about how to make them more comfortable. Here's a quick look at some of today's headlines. Face shields are no longer required outdoors except in high-risk areas or situations. President Duterte threatens to file malversation charges against Senator Dick Gordon. And PBA action continues with Meralco Bolt sealing a twice-to-beat advantage in the quarterfinals. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 2 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Jess De Los Santos. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe. Philippines, we are One News.